Welcome to the House of Wellness. We are here for you. Today we find out how small germs can be a big problem.
It learns how to distinguish between good germs and bad germs by being exposed to germs.
We learn about parental burnout, and yes, it's a thing.
Later, the addiction to nicotine and why it's so hard to give up.
So when smokers get that craving relief, they are more likely to quit for good.
Inspiration, smiles, advice and good food. We've got a show packed with all that and much more.
Oh, cheers to that.
Cheers. Let's all get well, stay well, live well and look fabulous.
Right here in the House of Wellness. She's getting the Insta. We'll make you a waffle sandwich later.
Okay.
Hi there, welcome to the show. It is the hour dedicated to your health and well-being. Nice to have your company, and yours too, Zoe.
Hi, Ed.
We're actually out the back in our TV studio's kitchen today, for good reason. It's a real kitchen, by the way. It's real fruit, real little mandarins.
Yeah, it's real.
Okay. They're plastic.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
However, the thing is, this is a breeding ground for germs, and the reason we're looking at that today is, well, I'll leave it to our number one germaphobe to explain.
Of course, you have to say breeding ground, don't you? I am a true blue germaphobe, and they are lurking everywhere.
There's one there. Look, ooh, it's coming.
It's not funny. It's a real thing for me.
Okay. Think about this kitchen. It's used by dozens of people a day, right? It is cleaned professionally, but as we look around, there's computers, there's telephones. What's it like out there in the real world on trams, buses, trains, in schoolyards, public toilets?
Oh my God. Public, could you imagine the public could you just think about the germs?
No, let's find out more.
You know, they are lurking, they're on us, they're everywhere. Could some be good? Are most of them bad? I think yes, but I don't know. So we're sending Bianca Chatfield to find out.
Germs live everywhere and cover everything we touch. They're in the air we breathe, on the food we eat, the clothes we wear, and the water we drink.
So today, I'm going to test some everyday items to see how germy they are. The results may surprise you.
Okay, first up, a few introductions. Germs come in 4 main flavours. Firstly, bacteria. One-celled creatures that are able to survive on most exterior surfaces. For instance, our skin is caked in these Staphylococcus bacteria. But don't worry, they actually help us deal with cuts and scratches. Next, the viruses. This is rhino. Here's a common cold virus. Unlike bacteria, they can only thrive if they are living inside a host life form. However, fungi are a lot like plants in how they grow. If you have ever had athlete's foot, then you know these guys well. Lastly, we have the protozoa. These germs love moisture and often spread diseases through water. If you have ever had barley belly, you can blame these guys. But according to Dr Nick Coleman, a senior lecturer in microbiology, the vast majority of germs are not to be feared.
Almost every part of your body is colonised by germs. All the surfaces, so your skin, your mouth, certainly your gut, your nose. Most of your body has a lot of germs on it. It learns how to distinguish between good germs and bad germs by being exposed to germs. So if you try and keep yourself excessively clean, that actually kind of backfires because then your immune system doesn't develop properly and then it actually makes you sicker, potentially.
Okay, so we now know that our bodies are designed to deal with most of the germs we meet. But to steer clear of the mongrels, you have to know where they prowl. And no one knows these characters better than sanitation expert Daniel Teal. And an important part of his profession is the testing of everyday surfaces for organic life. And this little piece of sci-fi gadgetry can tell us how many living organisms have infested a given surface, like this escalator.
So there you go, Bianca, 19.
19, so what does that mean?
Well, anything between 1 and 10 is a pass. It's reasonably clean. Okay, anything over 10 and below 30 is a caution.
Okay.
It definitely needs to be cleaned. Okay, anything over 30 is immediate action required. The dirtier it is, the more likely it is to harvest bad bacteria.
We have to accept it. We all live in a dirty world, and every day we are passing bacteria to each other as a result of the things we touch. In 2017, an American study identified over 100 different strains of bacteria on their average coins and bills. And when it comes to ATMs, the study revealed germs like Salmonella and E. coli hiding out on the majority of ATM touchpads.
It's actually a 6.
How? How is that a 6?
They might have sanitised it with an alcohol wipe or something like that, which will kill the bacteria initially.
Right, okay.
But if they don't remove that residue, it leaves the residue there as a catalyst for bacteria to grow again.
Last year was Australia's worst flu season on record, with 654 people dying from the influenza virus. And when it comes to contagious hotspots, pedestrian crossings are consistently the germiest of all everyday surfaces.
Whoa!
So there you go, 32.
32.
So that definitely needs cleaning, and there is a good chance that that is harbouring some bacteria on there.
Now this test will be interesting.
How did you go?
Well, I just swabbed the bathroom in there
Okay.
and the seat on the toilet. It's
What?
only a 3.
What? I'm so confused.
Not really. Obviously, they use some pretty good chemicals in their cleaning program for the toilet.
This is actually fascinating. Who would have thought a public toilet is actually 31 times cleaner than a crosswalk button? The logical reason? It comes down to how often we clean things. At home, for obvious reasons, we clean toilets far more than any other surface. So according to Daniel, the average kitchen likely has more germs than our bathrooms. So I've borrowed a friend's kitchen to test the theory.
68.
Whoa. That's the highest reading we've had all day.
That is the highest reading we've had all day.
Fridge doors, everyone, you've got to clean them.
Public toilet is cleaner than that fridge door.
I think the kitchen's somewhere where you need to be careful. So just wiping them down, you know, just hot soapy water is fine. That kills most sort of bacteria and viruses.
Not just water, it needs to be soapy water.
Hot and soapy water is the best, yep. So if you're cooking chicken, you need to be especially careful because chicken always has salmonella in it, some level of salmonella.
And so for the very last test of the day, Dr Nick wanted to show me some results he had just finished analysing of swabs from a random office computer in a very random office.
The most exciting sample, though, was the keyboard sample. So at first glance, this tells us there's fecal contamination on the keyboard, which is pretty gross. We need to interpret it with a little bit of caution, but at first glance, it does look like poo on the keyboard.
So there you have it. Germs are all around us. Good, bad and ugly. But don't panic, everybody, because Dr Nick has one last bit of advice.
It's a very small minority of germs that will make you sick. And once you go down this road of worrying about germs, I mean, where does it end? Every surface has germs on it. So at some point, you just have to learn to live with them, I think, yeah.
Very unsettling story, but great to welcome Aussie netball superstar and our House of Wellness teammate Bianca Chatfield here into the kitchen where germs are lurking all around us, Bianca.
Oh, they are everywhere. But I think the important thing is we learn what they're actually all about.
Okay, so the kitchen is one of the worst places for germies. Tell me about them.
Let me show you something, Zoe.
Okay, chopping board.
On this chopping board, don't touch it.
I won't.
We might find these guys. So
What is that?
a very, very zoomed in picture of salmonella.
I am so scared of salmonella, and now I know it looks like that, I'm even more scared.
Looks evil. Yeah, okay.
And then what about this one? So these ones, Staphylococcus, we found on the door handle of the fridge, which is just over there.
Yep.
I know.
Yeah, I'm going to wash my fridge.
Yep.
The whole fridge, inside
Okay.
and out now.
You need to make sure you wipe it down. And then this one is golden staph.
That's
and
bad.
We found it on keyboards. So everybody has keyboards that they use every day.
And you don't think of
found
wiping
this.
them down, do you?
Think of it now, please. So these are bad germs, but I was having a conversation with my 6-year-old only a few weeks ago, and he said, Daddy, are they good germs? And I thought that was a great question.
That is a really good question, a very smart one, because he's right. There are good germs and we can't be scared of them all. I think 10% of our body weight is made up of bacteria, and we need it to fight diseases, we need it to break down food, so we can't be completely
There's a
scared of
relief.
them.
Okay, and how is the hand washing going after that stroke? Because I know
I'm sort of doing it
I'm
now.
almost going to be bleeding from how much I wash my hands.
Well, I'm certainly doing it a lot more. Antibacterial gel when you're in public places, especially on planes. And just making sure when you're cooking, which I don't do very often, but you make sure you wipe down
Safer
your
not
kitchen.
to.
Yeah, safer to not cook, actually.
Let's just get that out of harm's way. Great tips on living healthy and well. Thanks so much, Bianca.
Thank you.
Trust a gold defence to teach us about germ defence. Very timely indeed.
Goodness me.
Now, if you'd like another close-up look at all those nasty germs, you can watch our shows back via our website. Just head to houseofwellness.com.au.
And give us a buzz, 1800 469 788. We love to hear from you all.
And you can connect with us via Facebook as well. Now, Work burnout's something we've heard about
Yes.
before, and let's all face it, parenting is a full-time job, so maybe parental burnout makes sense.
You know what? I have definitely been going through this. I cannot wait to see that story.
It's a story no parent should miss, coming up a little bit later on in the show.
And you know what else? Poached prawns coming up in Nutritious to Delicious.
Yum.
And if you're suffering with eczema, we've got something to give you some relief.
It's all on the way here on the House of Wellness. We'll dash from the kitchen to the studio. We'll see you after the break here on the House of Wellness.
Later, how to beat exam stress with strategies to keep you calm.
And up next, we meet a couple of tradies helping sick kids feel like superheroes.
A child will go in for an x-ray. Well, put a costume on that child. It's now Superman going in for an x-ray.
Lots more on the way here on the House of Wellness.
Welcome back, everyone. Now, as they say, every lady loves a tradie.
Do they?
But our house heroes this week will have the love of more than just the ladies.
After her first birthday, Angela Sotiris, daughter of tradie Jason Sotiris, was diagnosed with a rare cancer that meant time in hospital and lots of medical procedures for little Angela. Finding it difficult to dress and undress her due to monitor cables and IV drips everywhere, Dad Jason got to thinking.
Yeah, along with mate Yusuf Mukhlis, the two created a T-shirt designed to make changing easy and one that all the kids would want to wear.
When you get told that your child has cancer, it's a very, very serious matter. Given the extent of her disease, they said what we're looking at is potentially a 20% chance of survival. Felt pretty useless. During the whole ordeal, there was nothing I could do to help. She woke up, coughed, and because of the chemotherapy, she threw up. I just remember at that moment, I just wanted to just rip that shirt off just so that I didn't have to put her through any discomfort. So the Super Tea is an attempt to try and make it easy for parents like me to change our kids when they're in a hospital bed. The design that we came up with was really with the help of the nurses at the Children's Hospital at Westmead. We came with the first prototype, and because of their wealth of experience, they were able to say, no, change this, do that, I would do this if I was you.
Well, firstly, kids love a game, and there's often not a lot of games or hilarity on a cancer ward. So the whole idea of doing things in character was actually a wonderful idea.
You know, a child will go in for an x-ray. Well, put a costume on that child. It's now Superman going in for an x-ray or Batman going in. It's just that difference that, you know, we hope that we'll be able to give to the kids.
Such a simple concept. T-shirts with openings that these central catheters come through, and it's through those that we deliver chemotherapy, blood transfusions and so on. So it's a simple concept, but it's been embedded in fun characters, and that's really good for the kids.
I think very good. It'll make every little child feel like a bit of a superhero wearing that, so everyone needs a cape, don't they?
And these kids, they're tougher than you think. They fight battles that we can't. They don't have the option to give up. So why should we? So they're an inspiration themselves. They are the real superheroes.
Wow. What incredible guys. Hospital is just such a hard time for anyone, let alone as a parent whose child is sick. I love that work. Go the Super Tea.
Such a clever idea too. I love it. Now, if you'd like to purchase one of the T-shirts or even donate to Super Tea, you can head to our website to find out more, houseofwellness.com.au. Now, feeling stressed during exam time may not land you in hospital, but it can make life very unpleasant for students who are going through exams and for those around them too.
According to an international study, our Aussie students feel more pressured and stressed when they are studying and preparing for exams than the global average.
Why are our kids feeling this way, and how can we, as parents, help them out? Here with guidance for students and their families is social scientist Dr Ali Walker. Welcome back, Ali.
Hello.
Hey, this is tough on our kids that they're really feeling stressed more so than the global average.
Yeah, well, it's quite stark if you think about the statistics. So 47% of Aussie students feel tense when they're studying, and the international average is 37%.
Okay.
And 67.5% of Aussie students feel stress before an exam, even when they feel well prepared, compared to the international average of 55.5%.
Where is this stress emanating from within them?
So the research shows that it is self-imposed. It's not family or school, but this is so important, and I'm so passionate about this. If you say that it's self-imposed, but then look at the entire structure of our education system, where the end result is one number, what you're telling them is to internalise exam stress, because you're saying that to get to the next level, your rite of passage to move to the next level of society, of adult life, for success, is to get to go well in your exams. And I'd like to ask you, do you attribute your success to your exam performance at school?
No.
Look at us.
No.
You are objectively successful people. Do you attribute your performance
No, but
to
at the
exams?
time there is all of that pressure, and there's a lot of comparison too amongst students. I know, I can still remember it. It was so awful. What do we do though as parents to help with that internalised stress?
Yeah, so it's all about perspective. The fact that we know that they've internalised this, we can actually take steps to reverse that. And so the great thing is we can talk to them. I do this with my 6-year-old. So where does success and happiness come from? We know that success comes largely from perseverance and resilience.
Yes.
Trying something over and over again. And I'd love the school system to try that. So actually have assessment. I design assessments at university level, and I design my assessments around iterative design, iterative approaches. So start off here and then get better and refine and refine. So that's testing perseverance and resilience. There's ways for assessment design that you can do this differently. Tell your kids that happiness comes from friendship, community building, long-lasting relationships, giving back to the community. That's where research shows happiness comes from. So of course success in life is important, but it's just one part of the puzzle.
Yeah, a bit of perspective.
A bit of perspective.
Well, wait till your 6-year-old realises Mummy has a PhD and 3 other degrees and see how we go there. But for kids suffering this exam, stress is going to build up over the latter half of this year. What can we do?
So if you're doing an exam right now, what I want you to do is talk to as many people that you know or your parents know across so many different industries about their stories of how they succeeded in their industry.
Yeah.
So find out what your kids are interested in, or find out if you're at teenage level, find out what you're interested. Go and find someone in that field. And this isn't like official work experience.
Yeah.
Just talk to as many people as you can. And I was talking to some people on the weekend, and we were all agreeing that Year 12 was one of the most stressful years of our lives.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah.
So the way that we set it up, we should set it up differently. And there are other structures. There's the International Baccalaureate, not just the high school certificate. There are other options.
Okay, we'll pursue that in weeks to come too as the exams start to ramp up. Thanks, Dr Ali, as always.
So good.
Stay with us. Plenty more to come. We are the House of Wellness.
Later, are you suffering the winter itch or dry skin? We may have a solution for you.
And next, an anti-aging aromatic bone broth with prawns. Sounds deliciously divine.
After the break, we're getting hot and prawny here on the House of Wellness.
Today's soup is full of flavour, texture and goodness, with hydrolyzed collagen powder to build connective tissue and fight ageing. Start by frying off crushed garlic and ginger in extra virgin olive oil. Then add chilli, snow peas and spring onions. Mix 2 tablespoons of bone broth in water, then add your aromats. Pour in fermented soy sauce, then add prawns. Garnish with freshly chopped coriander and mint, and a squeeze of lime.
Yum.
That is nutritious and delicious. This is the anti-aging bone broth with the prawns. It's made with the BioGland collagen bone broth, and I am tasting it. over to you.
Okay, you taste it. Now, that is a double whammy, that dish. We have the collagen and the bone broth. Not only are we helping the gut health, but keeping the wrinkles at bay. You know that bone broth is coming back.
No crow's feet for me. There's a bit of chilli in it, though. Won't lie to you.
Is there? It's good to clean up your sinuses. GQ, tell me about the bone broth. What's the difference between that and like a stock?
Well, the stock probably is all of the bits and pieces of a particular piece of protein, whereas bone broth is just the bone. So we're using the marrow, we're using all the nutrients that are in the bone, and it's coming back.
It's a hot
30, 40 years ago,
topic.
50 years ago, it was just normal that you kept bone broth around. So,
really
and you can see it doing it all the world.
Yeah, well done to healthy chef Zoe Bingley-Pullin there. It's got a bit of a kicker in it and tastes fantastic. OK, we have Ali back with us on the table as well. Time for your calls. Let's grab one. First up from another Ali from Chippendale in New South Wales who's standing by. How can we help you out?
I would like to know how to prevent ingrown hairs after I shave or wax. They get really itchy and irritated.
Well, we all shave our legs here.
And Ali, as Ed has told me often, he uses Ingrow Go. He just finds it outstanding, don't you, Ed?
What you're talking about, however.
Right.
Is that a loofah?
That's some other option.
No, it's a lotion. It actually prepares and then treats them, and he has an ongoing problem.
Oh, excellent. OK, moving on. Ali, this one you can probably help with. Rosanna from Madston in, have I said that right?
Yeah,
Maidstone
yep.
in Victoria. This is an email. I was wondering if you could help me with my 14-year-old daughter who is experiencing anxiety and stomach pain, which is causing her to have time off school.
I wish I could talk to her one-on-one, this girl. The first thing you need to rule out is there some kind of problem that's just arisen in the recent past? Is something going on at school? Is there bullying? Is there a new teacher that she's not gelling with? So obviously you need to rule out and get her to a doctor. Is there something actually going on with her tummy? But once we rule out those sorts of things, then the great thing about anxiety is that there's a lot we can do. You know, diet, there's more happiness receptors in our gut than there are in our brain, actually.
Yeah.
So our diet is so correlated with our happiness. So I'd look at diet. Exercise plays a huge role. Mindfulness and meditation, we know, and also digital detox.
Yes.
So getting the devices away from young people, it's so important.
All right, great advice.
Complex, Ali, isn't it? And your story before on stress during exams, we normally talk year 10, 11, 12, but this 14-year-old, there's a lot happening, particularly for young girls at 14. Hormonal changes, friends in, friends out. So the one-on-ones from someone, fundamental. And obviously, from her perspective, just check she's eating properly and if necessary, put in a B group multivitamin just to help things along.
Let's grab another call. We have Joy standing by in Epping, Victoria. Go ahead.
I just want to know the opposite to the running of a nose, where my child does not have a runny nose at all, and she's now 20.
No running nose.
She's not eating the soup.
Should have the soup.
She needs some chilli. Look, what you use there, Joy, is a saline. So you use a isotonic saline with no preservative because we need a moist nose. Moist nose is a happy nose.
Alrighty, and thank you for sticking around for this too. We've been hearing a lot about the My Health Record, this new online health system being set up by the federal government, and we wanted to find out a little bit more in greater detail what it means for everyone.
Ed, it will centralise our health records in a secure environment and available to health practitioners who you are allowing to look at your records. It's so important because years ago we had the same doctor and the same pharmacist. So when you went, your records were there. But everybody sees different practitioners right across the board these days. Here's a practical example. There was someone recently admitted to hospital, diabetic, in a coma with a massive infection. And until they checked on the My Health record that a particular antibiotic was appropriate, a wrong one could have been given, which may have actually killed the patient. So there's a little example, and there's lots of others. There are lots of precautions in place to make sure this works.
OK, so I've just signed up. Yes. Does that mean that any Tom, Dick and Harry can look at my file?
No, Dr Tom or Dr Dick or Dr Harry can, provided you allow them access.
Giving them permission?
Yes. And not only will you be able to select what information you'd like on there, you actually can track who has access.
I can see if you've been on there, GQ, looking at my file.
There's nothing to see.
Here we go. A great leap for the medical profession.
Yes, it is.
All right, fantastic stuff. Thanks for that, Gerald. Thank you, Ali, for being with us as well. Some great information there. Stay with us. We've got plenty more to come right after the break on the House of Wellness,
where we beam out right across Australia on the 7 Network and the Prime Network for everyone who wants to live a healthier and happier life.
Later, we look into the daily grind of parenthood and parental burnout.
And coming up next, the deadly addiction of smoking cigarettes.
We know we shouldn't do it. Science tells us we shouldn't do it. But yet it's so hard to quit.
More to come here on the House of Wellness.
Welcome back to the show. Now, our next story just makes me angry. Why do people still smoke? We lost our mum at a relatively young age to smoking. It's no secret. Smoking is bad for us, and fortunately, Australians seem to be getting the message. According to the Heart Foundation, 15% of us are smoking now. If you go back to 2001, it was 24% of Aussies who smoked.
That is good.
1 in 4 Aussies, though, were regular smokers, so we are making some great progress.
I'm impressed with the progress, in fact, but for many of us, giving up is not as easy as it sounds. So to find out why and to help those in need, we sent James Tobin in search of ways to give up smoking.
As humans, we're creatures of habit. Some are good for us, like rolling out of bed and doing our morning exercise, and some are not so good. But when it comes to changing the bad ones, it can be tough because they become so ingrained, even when we know some are doing us all harm and no good. Take this habit, for instance. Why would you keep doing this if you know it does this to us?
We're talking about smoking. We know we shouldn't do it. Science tells us we shouldn't do it. But yet it's so hard to quit. In Australia, our numbers were on the decline, but alarmingly, according to the Australian Institute of Health and Welfare, the numbers have plateaued, bucking the trend of most other countries in the world. So besides the obvious addictive presence of nicotine, why is smoking so addictive, and what can we do to stop it?
In 2015, 2.5 million Australians aged 15 years and over admitted to smoking every single day. But on the bright side, 5 million Aussies had managed to quit. So I thought we'd take a deeper dive into the world of habits and addiction and why people smoke.
What is habit and what is addiction and what is the difference?
Okay, well, with smoking, both factors play a role. So habit involves learned patterns of behaviour that are practiced over time and become strong reinforcing patterns for regular use. But the main driver of addiction with smoking is the withdrawal syndrome. So when smokers don't have a cigarette for a while, they miss it because their brain is saying, where's my nicotine? I need the nicotine to function properly.
So according to Dr Mendelsohn, smoking's insidious hold on people works in 2 ways at once. Firstly, our brains become addicted to the nicotine contained in tobacco. But at the same time, the physical act of smoking also becomes something our brain craves.
It's different for everyone, particularly for women. It's about the habit. They smoke for different reasons. There are genetic issues, there are social and behavioural issues. For men, it's much more about the nicotine, and they have more of a reward from the effect of the drug in the brain.
In 2018, the argument against smoking is irrefutable. Tobacco smoke contains over 70 different chemicals that cause cancer. Surprisingly, just stopping, known as cold turkey, is still Australia's most common method of quitting. But with just over 17% of Aussie smokers over the age of 14 managing to kick the habit, alternative methods are gaining popularity. Hypnotherapy works with the subconscious to weaken the desire to smoke. The age-old art of acupuncture focuses on specific points aimed at reducing withdrawal symptoms. However, science-based nicotine replacement therapies like patches, chewing gum and tablets work to minimise people's physical discomfort and, according to the Australian Health Department, have the potential to increase a smoker's chance of successfully quitting by 200%.
So when someone is addicted to smoking, they get the withdrawal symptoms, and it's very important that they can relieve the cravings when they occur. So when smokers get that craving relief, they are more likely to quit for good.
Nicotine therapies like this mouth spray benefit your lungs because the smoking has stopped, and they're designed to wean your brain off the nicotine itself.
One canister replaces up to 150 cigarettes, Now, that is a much better option than smoking cigarettes.
However, while nicotine replacement works for the physical addiction, breaking the psychological dependency on the habit of smoking is a mental challenge in itself. Callan Black is 31 and has been a big smoker since he was just 13 years old. 6 weeks ago, he finally quit after a big wake-up call.
Just had pneumonia. I had to have a needle in the side of my lung and fluid drawn out. And I was there, sat there. I even had my hospital bracelet on. I'm sat on the balcony, smoking 2-3 fags, one after the other, coughing until I was nearly sick. And yeah, I said to myself, what are you doing?
Yes, good question.
Yeah.
On average, Callan smoked about 25 cigarettes a day. But while he's been managing his physical withdrawals, today he's trying something called Emotional Freedom Technique, or EFT, to combat the psychological habit of 18 years of smoking.
Because addictions and smoking is underpinned by anxiety, when we're actually tapping, we're helping to reprogram the brain's longer-term memory to recognise that whatever it is that is actually causing us stress is no longer a threat.
And so, while Callan taps his way to a nicotine-free life, I thought I'd leave the last word to Dr Mendelsohn.
So most smokers who succeed have tried and failed a number of times. But each time you try, you do learn something, and it gets easier over time.
That is good to know, and it's great to see the numbers of smokers coming down over time as well. We know they're so addictive, don't we, James? But did anything really surprise you finding out and shooting that story?
You know, I mean, we know so much about smoking these days, and I guess there's the psychological side of it as well. So there's the physical addiction to the nicotine, not the tobacco, but the nicotine. The psychological side of it, that habitual side was interesting.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing that I found in this story was I've done a couple of smoking stories now for the show, and I feel sorry for the older generation who were sold this dream. They were told to smoke. Now they're addicted. A lot of people would like to smoke and they to stop, and they just can't.
Yeah.
And now they're kind of becoming pariahs in society, you know? You've got to be around the corner and out of sight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, to be honest, I do prefer because I hate the cigarette smoke, but it's not fair on them,
Yes.
you're right. Now, what was interesting is this emotional freedom technique, tapping. I've had tapping. I've done tapping before, but I didn't know that you could use it for treatments to break habits.
It was really interesting. So the point is, it's the habit. This is treating the habit of smoking all the time, maybe with a coffee in the morning, not so much the addiction. And the habit, so I did some stats, right? If Callan's smoking 25 cigarettes a day for 18 years, that's 165,000 cigarettes. Wow. If you're doing 10 drags a cigarette, 1.6 million times he's doing that action.
That is...
So it's trying to break the
it.
habit of just doing that.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. The other worst habit there is flicking the butt when you're finished too. Stop doing that. Put it away. Yeah. Thanks, James. Great story, mate, as always.
Thanks.
Now, we all know as parents, it's a full-time job taking care of our children, but sometimes when we're focused on kids, we don't take care of ourselves.
According to a new study, parental burnout is a very real phenomenon. Yes, I feel it in my soul, honey. And it is no surprise running a household full of children, balancing your own relationship, and even trying to hold on to a job can be exhausting.
Well, here to explain and help us understand this newly recognised condition of parental burnout is psychologist Dr Fiona Martin, and mother of 4. Welcome back, Fiona.
Hello, thank you for having me.
I mean, are people going to say rather cynically, it's just a tired parent complaining?
Yeah, look, I would love to say yes, but unfortunately this is a real phenomenon, and you know, of course we all know that raising children is full on and exhausting, and balancing, you know, relationships and you know, work-life balance is hard. But this study that's come out of Belgium researching parental stress has for the first time shown that parental burnout is a real phenomenon, and it's something that we really do need to take seriously. It is separate from depression, it is separate from anxiety, and it affects both parents, not just mothers, but fathers too.
Yeah, and I know I joke about this, but I actually really feel like I'm going through this. What causes it, and what differs it from, say, our grandparents that used to do everything and more because they didn't have technology to help as much?
Yeah, well, what we're talking about is emotional exhaustion, we're talking about physical exhaustion, and we're talking about cognitive exhaustion as well. So when we get to that point that we are not able to remember things. You know, we find it difficult to remember basic things. We're physically tired all the time, and we want to distance ourselves from, you know, little toddlers having tantrums. They're little red flags that we're burnt out. And what causes it are things like sleep deprivation, which is a big one, not having a balanced diet, not eating well, not getting enough exercise, not getting enough social contact.
Which is really hard when you're talking about burning out, right? Because you don't even have time to do some of those things.
Well, yeah, and we're talking about a 24-hour, 7 days a week job. It's full on.
So they say the second child's easier, in your case the third and the fourth. But for a first-time parent, you're seeing all these new stimuli. Is there anything you can do as a first-timer to kind of prevent this burnout creeping up on you?
You need to, I think, skill yourself up in parenting strategies. I think that's a very good piece of advice. I think self-care is critical. I think a lot of people think self-care is selfish, and I really am passionate about this. I think it's very, very important. It is critical to family functioning. It is critical for all relationships that you take that very seriously. And that involves, you know, doing what you need to do to feel calm and to be at your optimal best.
To be the best mum.
To be the best mum
Or dad.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to ask for help. All your friends
That's right.
would love to chime in. Great advice. Number 4, interestingly, same age as your fox. So you guys compare notes.
Exactly.
Thanks, Dr Fiona. Don't forget, by the way, you can catch the team, the radio edition, Sunday mornings. We are beaming out right across the country, so make sure you join us for the House of Wellness on the radio.
Yeah, we do like to say tune on in, don't we? Dial that. Tune the dial?
No,
Is that
no,
the word? Loads of great information and advice for all the family there.
And don't go anywhere. Still more to come here on the House of Wellness.
Later, if you're looking to boost your immune system, the A to Z of vitamins will help you survive these cold winter months.
Next, if your skin is dry and causing you grief, we may have the secret ingredient.
We'll be back right after the break here on the House of Wellness.
Welcome back. Well, winter brings many health risks, from colds and fevers to dry, itchy skin, which can be just as problematic and painful as any bad virus.
That is true. And with 1 in 3 adults affected by eczema, it's a particularly challenging time of year. What can we do about it, and why is it worse in the cold weather?
Yeah, you're right. Well, joining us today is a man who may have some relief, lifelong eczema sufferer and founder of Graham's Natural. Geoff Graham is with us. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show.
Tell us about your story, because you had an amazing bout of eczema. And it's statistically high in Australia compared to the world, isn't it?
Exactly. Australia is one of the highest countries in the world for allergies.
Crazy.
And yes, I was one of the worst reported cases as a baby in the Royal Children's Hospital in Melbourne. The specialists had seen, they used to wrap me up in Glad wrap just to get the skin to sweat and get the cream deep into the skin layers.
Do you remember any of that?
No, luckily.
Yeah.
Luckily I don't. But then roll forward, and Shannon and I have 2 kids, but Ryan came along, and within 3 to 4 months he was showing signs of eczema.
Yeah. Let's take a look at it.
And
that's suffered a quite bad his ankle.
Look at him as
but
a
then,
little one.
within a couple of months after that, it was full blown from head to toe.
Was it? So
and
we can see it's really bad in that second picture. Did he have that all over the body?
All over his body. So we at Graham's decided that we wanted to do a natural product to help Ryan. So we spent 12 months in the kitchen, researching everything we could about ingredients. And
you use a lot of natural ingredients,
Yes,
and I think that's the difference here with the Graham's product, isn't it?
Yep.
Why do we have the oats and the honey on the table?
With the C Plus cream that we developed originally for Ryan, we based it around calendula, gotcha cola and propolis, and that's to control the itchiness and inflammation on the skin.
Okay.
And a lot of people with eczema will have bacteria as well on the skin, so we use active Manuka honey. And then one of the most important things, the third topic, is you must keep the skin moist at all times. Because once that 2 top layers of skin dry out, that's when the itch-scratch cycle starts. So we used emu oil
That's interesting, emu oil.
So we focused on eczema so far. There's also rosacea and psoriasis in the picture. They're similar, somewhat related. We can see the effects of it on camera here with this lady.
Yes.
Tell us about them.
Yes, the rosacea is generally demographically aged between 30 and 50 for women.
Yeah.
It can feel like your face is on fire flushing, red face.
Awful.
And then psoriasis is roughly 2 million people in Australia now suffer with psoriasis. So, and it's your very raised, angry patches that.
And also
that
Kim
you'll see.
Kardashian has that.
Okay.
I
She
know
does.
it's an
Yep.
off
She
topic,
does.
but she
Yep.
suffers very bad
She does.
psoriasis.
So what we did
You
at
could send
Graham-
her some grains.
Yeah, well, I should. What we did at Graham's, we developed a rosacea and psoriasis creams that are Class 1 formulated medical devices. So what that actually means is each ingredient in the formula must have clinical data behind it to support the claim that we are making.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And importantly, you can focus on little ones with this.
That I wanted to say, I got caught up in the Kim Kardashian babies. Right, my little one who's 5 months, he's had eczema, and I'm really wanting to steer away from is it cortisol?
Yeah, steroids.
Steroids.
Yep.
So is this safe for little bubs?
Absolutely. We at Graham's developed the 3 products
Here's a
initially.
little one now.
And that was one that used the product. So we developed an eczema cream.
Yes.
And in conjunction, we used a body baby eczema oil.
And you can use them
And you can use them
combined.
together. And they're also Class 1 medical devices as well.
Okay, I'm going to have to snatch that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Geoff, thanks so much for coming on, sharing what is a personal story, but turning into this great range of products and bringing relief to so many skin allergy sufferers.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Nice to have you with us. We'll take a little break. More to come here on the House of Wellness after this. Welcome back to the show. A to Z of Vitamins time now. Gerald has joined us back on the desk, and you mentioned at the top of the show how important it was to boost up our immune system, certainly through these colder months. Can we do it with a natural option, perhaps?
It's our inbuilt resistance to infection, and it's fired up at this time of the year. So I want to talk about the birds and the bees, but mainly the bees.
Okay.
And honey we know, but we know more about a substance called propolis. So the bees use propolis to protect the hive, allowing them to produce the honey. So there's about 300 actives in propolis, far less in honey.
If I wanted to have the propolis, how much do I need to take and when will I start kind of feeling some benefits?
With immune function, it depends how badly your immune function is at the time, Zoe.
Okay.
So 1 a day of the capsules, even 2 a day for a start, but 1 a day, and then provided you do the other things, you will start to feel well. There's no finite time, but sometimes 10 days, sometimes a couple of weeks. The important thing is do something.
It should be really called the other vitamin B.
It could be, but it's got...
You didn't get it, GQ, and he's trying to make
best.
jokes again.
The A to Z of Vitamins. It's brought to us by Go Healthy for healthy energy and vitality. Try New Zealand's #1 premium supplements, now available in Australia. Alrighty, we're just about done, but next week we're going to look into the healing powers of honey. We've just learned all about propolis. The bees have done it all, and we're whipping up an age-defying beetroot soup.
Beetroot soup?
Yum. What's got your attention, by the way? I know.
The germs thing. I can't touch anything or any of you because I'm freaking out.
I hope you enjoy the show, and you can catch today's show along with loads more info on our website, houseofwellness.com.au as well. Thanks to you, team. Thanks to our friends at Chemist Warehouse. Hope you have a healthy and well week. We've got to buzz off.
Bye.